UVB, the biggest benefit to most important thing you can give to your reptile depending on the species. Depending on that species, it'll become an added benefit to your reptile's everyday life or be a very important thing that won't lead to serious medical issues down the line. Question of the day isn't is UVB important, it's why it's important, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Stick around while we do a little crash course on why UVB is important and me changing my bulbs thanks to Exotera and their brand new product. Let's get into it. We all know what UVB is, right? It's a thing like this right here, the little bar with the bulb in. You gotta get it if you got your bearded dragons, your tegus, anything like that. Maybe some of you are like myself and you learned a little bit more than that. You understand that it's something to do with calcium, D3 synthesizasis, something like that. It's important, so I got it. And that's pretty much the end of it. Maybe you didn't want to learn more because let's be honest, big words are tough and we're not all scientists out here. Not to worry, because I did my due diligence research. I Googled what all them big words meant, and now I'm gonna teach it for dummies. The high school dropout, letting you understand the everyday man why UVB is important for you. When it comes to ultraviolet light, there are gonna be three main things, that being your UVA, your UVB, and your UVC. We ain't gotta worry about the UVC because we're not killing bacteria here, we're talking about reptiles. UVA is gonna be the ultraviolet light that helps your animal do a bunch of stuff. Your photoperiods, its feeding, its breeding, understanding all the psychologicals of day and night cycle, everything like that. UVA rays are also going to be able to penetrate deeper into the skin, having a better basking area, but that's all we're going to talk about that because it's a UVA video. What does UVB do is the question. Now UVB in a nutshell allows the synthesis of the vitamin D3 to be able to absorb the calcium that you are already giving your reptile. And now this is why the calcium and D3 play such an important role together. You've been given all the calcium you want to your animal, but if it doesn't have enough of that D3 in there from absorbing the UVB rays, it's not going to be able to absorb that calcium. Of course, can then end up leading to negative side effects. The most common one we all know about is metabolic bone disease or MBD. Your conclusion's probably gonna be, oh, Dakota, I know what D3 is. It's that vitamin in the calcium. Why don't I just give the reptile that and then it'll be good and I don't need to use the UVB? Well, yes, you can supplement D3 into the system and have everything go kosher. However, to do it right, you would basically have to be doing blood work on the animal, make sure you're not overdoing the calcium with D3 in order to lead to D3 toxicity, which can also lead to negative side effects. Blood work would need to be done on a routinely basis, and unless you're a doctor, it's got all the labs already. That is a pretty penny when you could do something just like buying this right here. Now that we're done being silly gooses with that idea, let's talk about some cool stuff that you should know about your UVB. This thing being, you gotta replace them somewhere around every 6 to 12 months depending on the brand that you get, and it's a good thing too because all of mine need to be replaced. Luckily, today's sponsor, Exotera, is here to help me out. Give me 1 second. I asked them for 6 bulbs and thought I was being greedy doing that, and they sent me like a 12 or something ridiculous number. You gotta say we open this bad puppy up, see what we got going on in here, and then talk more about UVB. Goddamn, boys and girls, we got 14 bulbs, including 7 new domes in the exact size that I specified. This is absolutely incredible. It's like we'll be switching out these old Zoom Ed ones that I've had for years for some fancy new Exotera ones. This is gonna be an exciting day. Excitement does not come without education, so let's set some of these bad boys up over here and then talk a little something about Ferguson zones. I think that's the right word for it. Damn, boys and girls, check this out. This is nice. Feels good in the hands, feels quality in the hands, you know, especially if we're, now granted this one is about, oh, I give it about 5 years or so, the dome itself, maybe just a couple, I don't remember. But just looking at the difference between these two, this feels just a lot better in my opinion. Now, Ferguson's in a nutshell is going to be approximately how much UVB the reptile is getting in the wild so we can replicate that into captivity. Usually sourced into a couple zones. Most common one I've seen is 1 through 4. You'll find this replicated in a few different ways depending on the brand, being the percentages of the UVB, the 5.0 to 10.0, or personally with Exotera's the 100, 200, and 300. Like I mentioned, these zones are put up in about 4 big categories. Number 1 is going to be your lightweights, the crepuscular species. Species that are only out during dusk and dawn and only getting minimal UVB during it. This is going to be things like your cresteds, gargoyles, things of that nature. Number 2, your shade-dwelling to partial basking species, stuff like the anoles right here that will occasionally go out to bask, but are mostly going to be found in the shaded areas where UVB is filtered through the leaves. Number 3 is where you're going to get a little bit heavier. These are going to be your open baskers, seeking out that full sunlight to thermoregulate and get all the stuff they need. Things like the frill dragon, bearded dragon, standing eye geckos as a few examples. Then number 4, your heavyweights. These are going to be the animals that want to be full blast to where they are in the world. Being things like the Uromastyx, a sulcata tortoise, things like that. I did 3, but I didn't have a third one off the top of my head. This is a mistake I personally made because I was uneducated. Now I'm just slightly more educated. That being that I never really paid attention to Ferguson zones and where the reptiles came in the world. Now those UVB rays are going to be different depending on how the species bask. Pretty much my go-to was tropical gets 5.0 and not tropical gets 10.0. That's pretty much the spot I was at. Which is definitely not a good thing, and I definitely made it out lucky without having any problems. If you're underutilizing UVB, say you're putting the UVB 100 on things like your bearded dragon, your standing eye geckos, they're not going to be getting enough UVB to then be able to synthesize that D3 for calcium. However, you can put those roles in reverse. If you are putting too strong of a UVB, if you're blasting a crested gecko with some 10.0, the 300 Megamaster Sunblaster UVB bar, you're going to have some problems such as burns and other negative side effects for the animal. Stay in school, kids, or at least Google what Ferguson zone your reptile is in before purchasing your UVB bar. The next thing you need to worry about, your screen. I know, something I would have never thought of in a million years is the screen on top of the enclosure. Just like the leaves on the canopy of the forest as they filter the sunlight down, which of course sunlight is containing them UVB rays, the same is done with the things on top of your enclosures. As we all know, solid objects is going to block 100% of those UVB rays. Anything like glass and stuff like that is not going to work to be able to penetrate through. However, the UVB actually also gets filtered through the enclosure screen as well. Much is going to be dependent on what type of screen you have. Some of these here have a little bit of a bigger gap so UVB can flow better through it. Some of these are going to have a tighter sewn pattern together, which is going to filter out a lot more. Not going to filter out enough where you want to go up a size. Let's say if you're doing stuff with like chihuahuas and tokays, I got the 200 on there. You're not going to want to move up to the 300 because the screen's getting filtered it out. But it is something you should keep in mind to make sure that your animal has a good way to be able to get to that UVB. If it's filtering out a lot and then you're not utilizing like this much of the enclosure, it only sticks up to like here, then that could be a problem, and you do want to make sure that it's having the approximate UVB that it needs. Smart way to do this is to invest into a solar meter so you know exactly how much it's able to get depending on what basking surface it's on, but eyeballing works too. Quick, boys and girls, before we continue on today's video, I just want to give a major and huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Exotera. Talking a lot of scientific stuff over here, so I'm not going to bore you with that during the Advil. I'm going to give you 3 big reasons why you should be getting the T5 from Exotera. Number 1, in my personal opinion, this has to be the best and well-researched T5 bulb I have seen on the market going in. A lot of work went into the production of this bulb, sourced out from Germany, which as we know is the best place for getting UVB and manufacturing it. Number 2 is going to be the thought and quality that goes into both the bulb and the dome. Like we mentioned, very well researched dome. I absolutely love the fact that they have multiple Ferguson zones for their bulbs. It makes it easier for the keeper understanding what UVB to get for that certain reptile. UVB bar and dome, whatever you want to call it, the bar itself feels a lot better quality than what I've seen. The ones that I have been replacing out with these guys, it just feel more solidly manufactured. It feels like a better quality bar in your hand. And then last, and probably the biggest surprise to me, and the biggest reason, especially if you got a collection of this size going on right here, that is going to be the fact that they daisy chain together. If you don't know what daisy chaining is, basically you have one plug going on there, and that plugs into that light, which plugs into this light, which then plugs into that, which goes down to there, and it's all running on one plug. If you're a guy like me, you got this many animals and not a lot of outlets, the daisy chaining effect that the UVB Exoteras do is going to be a lifesaver for you. If you guys want an in-depth detail of everything that's going on with those UVB bars, you can check it out at exotera.com. I'll have that link down there in the description. They just released all of their bulbs here very recently. I want to say March 15th is when they started hitting retail stores and online shops. They're going to be available on a lot of these online shops and then retailers out. I'll have a link down there in the description on a place you can buy them as well. The boy doesn't get any commission for it. It's all love from Exotera. They went above and beyond for me, and I want to let you guys know what a quality brand and bulb they're getting. All right, that's enough. Let's get back into the video. Where are you at? Oh, there you are. Someone you don't see every day, Wilson the sulcata tortoise, my little dude. Now, I don't know if it's like this with you guys over maybe in warmer climates, but down here, Wilson seems to do a little bit, I wouldn't call it strictly brumation. Like, he doesn't go to sleep like the tegus and the bearded dragon does. However, he does seem to slow down significantly. He'll make a little burrow inside this we have filled with plenty of substrate, and then he'll kind of burrow down there for the winter until temps warm up a little bit, and then he'll start getting a little more active. But I want to see how he looks underneath this nice UVB. Yes, sir. Enjoy, soak that in, brother. That's a good looking tortoise under there. Last thing I do want to talk about are going to be the advancements we've made with UVB, and this little hallway right here is a perfect example of the differences between something like the T5 high output and then something like the LED UVB bar. This time we had a little friendly round with Exotera. They got us some of those amazing LED UVBs, completely customizable. You got your own remote. You control how much light, the timer going on the light, how much UVA, how much UVB, the cycling period that this does. It's all very nice, but it's also a little bit expensive. This has been set with our bearded dragon for quite a minute now, ever since I did that video, and this thing's been absolutely love of it, been growing great, and definitely more active. Is he more friendly? That's the real question. Come on, little doggy. Don't eat me. Don't eat me. I'm not food. Come on. Just the friendliest puppy dog in the West. My God. This is what happens when you use LED UV. No, I'm just playing. I don't know why, man. Jolly Roger really earned his name because this thing sucks. What a mean little guy. I don't know why he's like so mean. I'm hoping he grows out of it. He always tries to eat me too. Watch. He's like, is it a threat or is it food? Look at that. Look at that. Why? I didn't do anything to him. I bought you and saved you from a little pet store as a baby, and this is how you repay my kindness? Unbelievable. All right. Innovative technology with UVB has evolved exponentially, where we got fancy contraptions like this, or we're just refining the classic T5 high output to make it better and better each time. Got it, boys and girls. Fun little field trip around the reptile room where I did some UVB building and talked about some cool facts about UVB bars that you may or may not would have known. I don't know if you use Google like me at the end of it. However, of course, that's not all the chores. I got about, I think, 3 to 5 more that I need to replace down here, but that's a little bit boring. However, if you guys want to check out some of the videos we got going on right here, you can check out that playlist with some cool stuff. Maybe you want to check out the full reptile room tour, which will be in that video right there. As always, thank you so much for taking the time in your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics, and I'll see you guys next time. But until then, goodbye.